Can you tell me a little about the sales process?
Sure, let's talk about the sales process for a second. Stuart covered a lot of the basics, I think. The sales process is really, it's like any other sales process. I mean, it probably sounds kind of trite, but there's no rocket science here, and there's no magic. One of the things I think that you're going to find in talking to the clients, the most critical thing is that you have to talk to these people. Sending an email, although it may give you the illusion of activity a lot of the times, will do absolutely nothing for you unless you speak to the prospect first. We live in a read and delete world today, and in fact, half the time things are rarely read. It's almost impossible to get people on the phone a lot of the times. So when you do get them, you really need to make the most of the time. I think Stuart talked a little bit about the fact that it's sort of a twofold process. That first, when we're able to get somebody on the line, the first time we want to be able to send them some information, and then follow up, 3 days to a week later to make sure that they got it. So then you can, now they have several choices to make, and hopefully we can steer them in the direction that we want them to go in, which is one of them will be a paid choice. But again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you actually talk to these people before you send them an email. The second thing that I would suggest that you do is, depending on the browser that you have, send the email when you do send it with the return receipt, so that you know that somebody actually read the email or at least looked at it. Otherwise you're going to make assumptions. You're going to be sending people correspondence, and it either ends up in a spam filter or it just gets deleted and you don't see it. So. I think it's important that you kind of know where they are. Just a couple of other points that I'm sure those of you that have been in different sales positions before, none of this is going to be new information for you. When you deal with a lot of people in these kinds of companies, try to make sure that you get the decision maker, or at least make sure that you include them in the process, copy them on the information. A lot of the information that you'll find on these CRMs, some of it that you'll be seeing is a little dated, so you're probably going to have to update it, and make sure that the more CCs I found that you can put on this, the more likely it is that the right person will read the email or see the information and respond to you. Key, obviously, you want to follow up and make sure that they've received the material. We'll talk a little bit about this later. We're going to create some incentives that are time sensitive, so we can kind of convince them or move them in the direction of one of the paid options. But I think one of the things that's really critical for you is to at least secure the free option so that you can retain them as a prospect. Once you have them in the database, even if we give them 90 days, a 90 days paid listing, now you've got somebody to go back to. They're familiar with us. They've seen we produced a listing for them. And, there's nothing to say that inside 30 days we can't go back to them with a promotion and say, hey, it's great you signed up for our complimentary listing. I have a great opportunity for you. Let me send you this information over and see if this makes sense. Stuart talked a little bit about the objections. I'm just going to give you a couple that I know that a lot of our reps hear frequently. And some of them there is no answer to. I mean, some of them they say, we don't sell to government, we don't have budget, I tried this before, it doesn't work, I'm not interested, take my name off your list. Given that the database of registered contractors that you're talking to, we want to make sure, our objective obviously is we want to generate some interest to start with, and one of the ways you can do that is by asking questions. If you get people who just vehemently tell you that they don't sell to government, they don't have any money, they're too small, don't waste a lot of time trying to talk them into it. It's probably not worth your time. We can move on to another prospect where the probability of success is a little higher. On the other hand, if you do get soft objections, which do come up pretty frequently, sometimes you'll hear things like, gee, we really haven't had much success tapping into a government market. Then I think that's an opportunity for you to say, you know what, I understand. Tell me a little bit about your business. Get them to talk. And again, this is sales 101 stuff. But it's, the way you're going to be able to control the conversation, if you have an opportunity to get it, is just to ask them a little bit, what have they done with the government so far? And if they say, well, I really haven't had much of an opportunity, and you simply pose it as a question to say, hey, you know what, if we can create that opportunity to give you the kind of exposure and get you in front of the right people at the government that are making decisions, is that going to be something that's going to help your business? Is that something that's beneficial to you? If you get some positive responses, then I think we're in a position where we can send them the options and hopefully get them to make a decision to choose one or the other paid, so that your efforts ultimately are commissionable. One of the things that does happen a lot of times is that you'll hear something where people will say, I've tried this before. I didn't get one order out of it, and I think people obviously are in business to create and generate sales and revenue, but on the other hand, advertising as a rule of thumb doesn't create deal flow. What it does do, though, is it creates tremendous exposure, so that you're going to have to get your name out there from a number of different locations. From registering on the SAM site to maybe print advertising to a web page or to a location. That's going to give you a presence in the government market where people are going to see you as legitimate and they're going to want to buy from you. One of the things, for example, that we used to say to people is, would the opportunity, to introduce your products and services to over 10,000 government purchasing agents and procurement officers have a positive impact on your sales? Unless somebody says no, which is highly unlikely. I mean, you'll keep them in, you'll engage them, and you'll keep them in the sales process. Another line another phrase that we use sometimes with our sales reps is we tell them that Federal Buyers Guide has been successfully putting companies like yours together with government buyers for over 30 years, and we'd like to help you sell to the government market. Again, and maybe even a third is, and I'll get a list of some of these things out to you later on, but when you start talking about the size of the market, for conversation purposes, the Department of Defense has the largest single budget in the world. It's the largest customer that buys consistently and it pays its bills. It's a multi-billion-dollar market that we can help you tap into. So you have to create some interest. Even the easiest way to overcome soft objections, is not to go straight at them. Sometimes it's to sort of restate or reposition the opportunities that are in front of them, and tell them that we're a vehicle that can help them make the most of those opportunities.